This video is going to review creating assemblies. I'm going to start by clicking on one of my exterior walls. When I do this, the Create tool comes up, and then you'll see Create Assembly. I'm going to click on Create Assembly, and I'm going to call this Exterior Wall, and it's in the category of walls. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to click on Edit Assembly, and I want to add elements. So then I want to click on every exterior wall element in my view here. Okay, and actually this building wasn't created quite correctly, so I'm going to do what I can because there's an exterior wall running through the interior, but I will select it, that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to hit Finish, and you'll see that when I click on the walls, they're all in one assembly. And now I'm going to click Create Views, and it pops up with which views do I want to create. So I'm going to uncheck all of them, and in the instructions it says to create the 3D ortho view, the plan view, the material takeoff, and I believe that was all of them. And then which sheet size, I'm going to select B. If you don't have B, you can load in a sheet size from your title blocks, and then you can select B in here. If you wanted to place all the information on an E size sheet, you can also do that. I know the instructions say B size. So I'm going to go B, say OK. So now if I scroll down to my properties box, you'll see assemblies, exterior walls, my 3D view is in here, my plan view is in here, and then my material takeoff's in here. The other thing that you want to do with this material takeoff list is organize the information. So right now it's very jumbled. I'm going to click Edit in here, and when sorting and grouping, I'm going to sort by material name. I'm going to add a header and a footer with title, counts, and totals, and then insert a blank line. So now when you say OK, you can see that there's air barrier. It shows all the air barriers, how many air barriers there are. If you didn't want to show each one of these materials individually and you just wanted to see how much material that you'll need, you can go Filter, Sorting and Grouping, and you can uncheck Itemize every instance and then say OK like that. Now the other thing is there's like a lot of information where it says air barrier several times, so you may want to filter again, and then the title, counts, and totals, you may only want to put the count and totals only or the totals only, and maybe even have a grand totals at the bottom. Okay, so this makes it a little bit easier to read, except for that it's missing some of the information if you look at it, so I don't like that. I'm going to go back and do counts and totals and say OK. It's not adding my square footages up. You may need to put a calculated column in here as well. I'm going to uncheck grand totals, which is the reason why it's not calculating this. So it's up to you. If you don't want to put the calculated total in there, you can itemize the instances, go back to saying OK. Anyway, now you have your sheet here. If you want to place all the information on the B size sheet, you're going to find that it won't fit. So right now, if I drag and drop this 3D view on there, it's huge, right? I would have to scale this view down to be able to fit on this B size sheet. So if you want to do that, you can activate the view, and you could just change the view scale to maybe something like 330 seconds. And then we can right click and deactivate the view, and then drag and drop that onto one sheet. But you're only going to be able to fit maybe like one or two things on a sheet. So if you wanted to add a larger sheet size, you may want to do that. If not, just modify this information so that it all fits on here. If you need to make it even smaller of a scale, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, you could do that so that you can fit the information on the sheet. Okay, so this would be one sheet, and then you would have another sheet. So this sheet's of the exterior walls, but you might have another sheet that shows the plan detail and the material takeoff. So let's just do another one where we do a larger sheet. So let's go back to level 1, and let's say we want to do an assembly for the interior walls. So we're going to go here, Edit Assembly. I'm going to call this Interior Walls. Okay, and then Edit Assembly, and I'm going to add walls to it. So I'm going to add all the interior walls to my assembly. There we go. And then we'll finish. And now if we create views, uncheck, just 3D plan, material schedule, and maybe I'm going to put them all on an E this time, say OK. Now you can see all the interior walls. If we go down to our assemblies list, click on the sheet, and now we can drag and drop some of this information on here. Now you're going to notice it still comes in way too big, so you have to activate the view. I could have changed this before as well. Maybe make all this stuff a 1/16 of an inch. Deactivate and put it on the sheet. 1/16 is pretty small. You may want to make it a little bit larger, but go ahead and just try to drag and drop the information first so you can see how big of a sheet you need. For this, you can even stretch these columns out so that all the information can be written straight across. And then I broke it. You didn't have to do that. Alright, and then we have the plan detail, so we'll place that on here. And again, we'll activate that view. 1/2 inch is probably too big. Let's try 1/4. Right click, deactivate view. And then we will put these in order. So maybe we have our material list, then we have our plan view, and then we have our 3D view. And that 3D view can get a little bit bigger. And we can put that on the sheet. Or maybe it can't get bigger because it looks like we can't fit all the information without it overlapping. That's kind of sloppy. Well, anyway, you get the point. So you just resize things so that you can read them and they're not overlapping like this. I'd probably put the materials list over here to the side. Typically when we have notes like this, we don't put them on this side of the drawing, the left, because when you staple a drawing, you could possibly staple this information in the fold and then you can't read it. So just resize and drop the information on the sheet. Again, this is an E-size sheet, which allows me to fit all the information on one sheet. So if you wanted to do that, that's okay.